It's regarding you noticing certain numbers of children from a particular school. Is there no way where you could always inform the school about such children so that now they are aware of it and then they can also intervene? Because once the school closes, I know the children are, it's no longer their responsibility. But as long as they are still in their uniform, they are ambassadors, you know. So, and as such, they would want to know exactly what is happening. And then they can also draw caution to them, invite their parents in, speak to their parents, because sometimes most parents go to work and they just forget about the children, you know, and with something that we mothers really need to look into as well, you know, not forgetting that we have children at home, because the moment they go to school, the parents have gone to work, the parents come back late in the night. By the time they come back, the children are already in the house, so they assume that they are at home. Meanwhile, all through the day, they've been out there. So there must be like a linkage between the place, the school, and the home. And I believe it's going to go a long way.
It's very good. As it happens, I just sent an email. There are what we call schools officers, not for all the schools, and we have notified the schools in Lewisham, Greenwich and Bexleyheath regarding the matter we've got at the moment. And yeah, they should be writing letters to the parents, etc. So that does happen. And in fact, I think just before I arrived, actually we brought some school teachers down. So actually school teachers came to the Woolwich Town Centre, and do you know, it was very effective. They've got more respect for the teachers than they have for us. And as soon as they saw their teacher, boom, they were gone. But that's not once it's great, but it won't happen every time. But definitely, going back, we need to do more work in schools. And yeah, parents need to be aware. You know, your Tommy, he's not coming home to do his homework. He's in Woolwich Town Centre. I'll tell you how labour intensive it is for us, and it's not an excuse. If we were to decide, right, you've got to go, it's now down to us to make sure they get to their home safely. So if I've got 4 PCs, if you imagine I've dispersed Tommy, and then Tommy gets into a fight somewhere else, guess who's going to get me? So it's difficult, it is difficult, and that's why I'd argue we need to stop Tommy from actually going to that place in the first place.
I think it's just a linkage, you know, between the 3 important people in their lives, and that is the community, the school, and the parents as well. And I know that parents really need to work hard, you know, we really need to work on our children. And I believe strongly that majority of parents may, I'm not saying, you know, may not know what is happening, but we need to be more involved. Parents need to be more involved in the lives of their children.
I think the problem, one of the problems is the right has been taken from parents to actually train the children properly right from the beginning. Because now we're talking about a full-grown tree in the street. But what about when they're still like siblings? When we could still train them, you know, instill some discipline into them, they get to a certain age and they know all the rights in the world. And you can't do anything to them as a parent. When you go to work, you're struggling at work, they are there somewhere, they're doing something else, they haven't got that fear in them. And the community is no longer together. Community is not what community used to be. Community used to look out for children, you know, those children. But it doesn't happen anymore because the child is going to stand and tell you, I don't even know you, why are you talking to me, you know, and stuff like that. I think the safeguarding issue as well is tying the parents' hands, because you can't discipline your children, you can shout on them, you can smack them. I know that now because I've been in trouble with that. You can smack them. And these kids, they know all these things. They know the things you cannot do to them. And they step outside their boundaries. You know, they actually try you, they stretch you. Because even when the police comes, there's nothing the police will do. So we need to find a way for the system to give the parents some right to train the children properly. If there's going to be a kind of training, I don't know, that they can give us as parents, so that we can train those children. But we need to be training our children right from the beginning. Because if we train them, then the police don't have a lot to do. Because they know that by the time, when I was young, by the time you get to police, you know you're in big trouble. But nowadays, the police is like their pally, you know. It doesn't mean anything if the police is there. Police, you know. And some of them really want to go in and do time. I don't know where that is coming from. So we have a lot of problems. There are different things.
Yes,
the reason
it's social problems.
Yes, it is social.
There's pressure on both parents to work where, so when I was growing up, my mum was at home.
Yeah. So I don't know if the system can help us to put something in place. I don't know, to be honest.
I should be now an insight into, she made mention of the system. And first, I would say in 1921, there was a research that was done in this country in which the conclusion was that father is very important in the life of a child.
Yes.
And then I will blame the system and I will put the blame on the police. There's a misguided culture against male and black men in this country.
Can I just quickly say something, please? Please help me with this. Please, thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you very much. But I want to stress that we do not want to. You see, we've gone past the blame game now.
Yeah.
We want to. We're here where we are.
Yes.
Okay. We don't want to blame the police or the government or parents or single parents. We just want to look for ways forward.
Not problems.
Yeah, where we are is where we are. Whatever's happened, whatever's caused, this is a social change. Okay, whether you want it or not, what I always say is that the generation that we grew up in is totally different from what our kids are, from how our kids are growing up. Like she started to say, kids are not afraid of authority anymore. Whereas when we grew up, if you're misbehaving down the road, it doesn't even have to be your parents.
Yeah.
Just a stranger will see who is your father, and then they will frog match you to your parents' home with your ear like that. And then you get home, you get disciplined very well. But nowadays, you can even talk to somebody, even the parents, look how you funny that you're talking to my child. So it's not about blaming anymore. It's about what do we do? How do we change these things that's happening?
We're not blaming. Let me just put it, like I said, I've done research about it. We're not blaming. You have to be fundamental about what is the fundamental cause of this. When a woman reports a man to the police, police use excessive force when you are black. It's a fact. I'm not saying blaming.
Like
so
I said,
I do appreciate if you. I just want to express in the last quarter of this year, between January and February, March, we have had 52 deaths in England, and 9 out of 52 are Nigerians. 8 of these are Yoruba. This is research that we've done. And what is responsible for this? This is statement of fact. What exactly is responsible for this? You realize that majority of these kids that are involved in this are raised by single mom. And then you ask yourself, what exactly is responsible? It is the police. The police, when you report a black male to the police, police will use excessive force if such a man is a black. And then because of that, there's so many men who do not want to contest their access to their children. And you don't understand the Children Act 1989 in this country. It gives responsibility to both parents. Police are not conscious of that. There are only 4% of black people in England and Wales, including African and Caribbeans who are black. There are 5% Chinese, there are 5% Indian. Indian is just a country, it's not a continent. We're talking about a continent that involves 2 people, African and Caribbean, who are black, 4%. But 47% of single mothers in England and Wales are black people. 27% are white. Now you ask yourself, what is responsible? See, let me just start. What is responsible is that the institution, the police and the CPS, they put a number of pressure on black males. The moment you put pressure on black men, they will not be able to raise their children. And if they are not able to raise their children, these children are involved in crime.
Okay.
And there's no problem.
Okay, thank you very much.
You have to solve the root
I'm going to have to
of the
stop
problem.
you there. Thank you very much.
People don't want to say the fact, but this is what the research conclusion have done.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Do you want to respond to that very, very briefly? Because I know you.
Well, as an individual, I can only respond. I'm from an Irish family, okay? I've never ever deliberately arrested a black person over a white person. I can't really answer it because for me, I don't really know what you're on about. Race exists in society, whether you're Irish, Nigerian, Somalian, Gypsy, whatever. I can honestly say I have not treated anyone any different due to their ethnic origin. That's all I can say.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any more questions for the officer to proceed?
Yeah, I wanted to say something. I just wanted to say that I'm a believer of the fact that we cannot pass blame to people for what happened in the home. It takes two to tango. So if a man has done something, it takes two people to argue, isn't it? Yeah. So if the man, the way we're saying it is for something to have come out of your home to get to a point where you're ringing the police or you're involving the police, that means both of you are not patient. Yeah. So I believe that we're taking it too far.
So excuse
us, sir, please.
Can I just say something? I allowed you to this forum.
It's an endemic problem. It is within black family. Okay. Within black community. It doesn't happen in Chinese or in Indian.
Can I just say, please, when somebody is trying to express their views, can we just respect their views?
What I've said is based on the research. It's not
thank you, sir.
You don't see this in Indian family or Chinese family.
Sorry,
in African.
Sorry, can I just finish? What I'm saying is not based on research. It's based on reality.
Hold on a second, please.
What I'm saying is,
I'm sorry, sir. You were not invited. You came in and I allowed you in. These are guests that registered to attend this event. Okay. If you're not going to conform, please, I'm going to ask you. Please. I've listened to you, we've listened to you. Please let others have a go.
Yeah,
thank you.
So because I just like to just sort of pick a few things from what you said. I'm a married man as well, and I know that every single family has their own issues. But the fact it depends on how you deal with it. People have marriages that last for 50 years that you don't even have to call anybody. It's not because it's easy for the lady or it's easy for the man. It's because they've both come to an agreement and they both found ways to deal with their differences. You see what I'm saying? So having a poke at the police that because they threw the mail at and all that. First things first, if you did your statistics, the statistics, if you checked very well, what about the women that from violence that they get killed? What about that? So the police have to do their own bit to make sure that the moment there's an argument to prevent something further happening, they have to separate both of you. So I understand that. And believe it or not, I've been on both sides. I have been the same thing that he's saying, but they weren't nasty to me. They just said, get what you have to get and go. So I've felt that before. So it's not a case of, and I know where I've been wrong. Do you understand what I'm saying? So in that case, I think I'll rest my case.
Yes, thank you very much. But please let's not forget, all opinions, like I said, there are going to be series of workshops like this. Yes. But this particular one, we're talking about kids within the school environment. Yes. So please let's not go too much off course. Yes. So let's come back to exactly where we are. Yes. And I think I saw your hand. I'm going to come to you.
Okay. Please. I wanted to speak a little bit more about your community officers that you have in school, because I know quite a few of the local schools have them in place, and my understanding was that they work to support you in the town centre when you have too many children in the town centres or incidents happen outside of school. How do the community officers from the various schools liaise with each other, and how does that system work?
Predominantly it's email, to be honest with you, because we're scattered all over the place. But now you said that, I think it should be a case where we get together.
Because you'd think that would be a really, really good format for supporting what's going on in the town centres and all the schools.
Definitely,
Do they actually communicate with each other?
The schools team will consist of one sergeant and however many schools officers. So for each borough, at the moment it's borough based. So you've got Lewisham, Bexleyheath, Greenwich.
And are they liaising across boroughs?
They will liaise. We don't have much input with them, so they'll all be talking about their issues at school. But to be fair, we're only really engaged with them when we have issues down at the town centre.
Because it seems like it would make sense if you've got that system in place that you're all working together, and not only working together, if you have those officers in the school that they're actually doing work in the school to prevent us having issues in the town centre.
I've never been a schools officer. I believe they do a lot of work in the school. I'm not saying that they.
Because my understanding is always very reactive rather than proactive, so it's in response to something.
I believe they do a lot of proactive stuff.
Okay.
But the police, sorry, can I just I do agree, we do need to do more. We do have this big, massive, there's a reaction, let's throwing loads of resources at it. We can do more, definitely. With the schools officers, I do believe they're very proactive in the school.
I know they are.
Yeah,
they are.
From our point of view, I know it's not an excuse. We are predominantly looking after the business of Woolwich,
The reality is
but the reality, we get sucked in, yes. Yeah. And there is scope to improve, and communication between myself and the schools officers could be
better. Because I kind of take a different standpoint. I don't believe the answer is to have more presence, because I think that creates more problems than it's actually worth. I think that the resources, yes, you need more resources, but they'll be better served in other areas. I think the community needs to come together a little bit more and support the work that's being done, because if we have more police presence, what we're then saying is that our children are criminals, and we're criminalising children more. Because if you have a group of children after school that are hanging out in the town centres, more often than not, they're not causing trouble. The issue is that there is too many of them and they're making too much noise. And the knock-on effect of that is your dispersal orders, you're taking children home. So these children begin to look at the police in a different way. So if we're creating this environment, what in essence we're doing is creating the environment that causes these issues. So the issue isn't really more police on the streets, it's how do we utilise the resources we have. And if we have community officers in schools, they should be doing more in schools. Well, I know we have someone from Woolwich Public who will be able to tell us a little bit more about
just
what they do.
as well.
I wish you could.
I agree with you. I don't want to go to kids and kids think, oh, here's the police, what have I done now? I'd like to engage. Let's talk about football, let's talk about... I'd love to. I'm human, you know. When I'm out of this uniform, I'm playing football with my two kids. Taking them swimming, taking them to parties.
Especially Woolwich.
I can't answer everything, but I can probably give you a little bit of insight into my work with schools officers in Woolwich Body. I can't tell you about other schools, but ours does engage positive activities with them. He takes a group of them to visit an old people's home once a week, for example, things like that. The idea is to build up that relationship so that they don't see the police as a negative thing that automatically means that they're in trouble, but someone that they can go to for help if they need to. Because sometimes you're right, you have the opposite effect. If they're too scared of the police, then they wouldn't go to them if they were in trouble. When they need to go to them. So it's about that balance. Our Safer Schools officer works with all of our heads of year and our entire pastoral team all the time, regularly. He comes into assemblies regularly. He's out and about when he's in school, going outside, playing table tennis with the boys, things like that. He does do loads and loads of stuff like that. The problem that we have is that our Safe Schools officer is great, but he's not ours full time because there's not enough of them. He's covering 2 or 3 schools. And then, when there are problems, he does come down to Woolwich Town Centre. He is around, and he's not. He does other shifts, not being a Safe Schools officer, so he does other things as well, being around and doing other shifts as a regular police officer, if you like. So he kind of has a bit more insight. But for example, we're having trouble at the moment with lots of our out at McDonald's in Thamesmead, because we know that they've been moved on from Power Street McDonald's, because they've worked with them, with the gangs team and stuff like that, about not having them as sort of a recruitment base at McDonald's in Woolwich, and they tend to have moved to the Thamesmead one. So we're trying to do work at the moment where our Safe Schools officer, but also us as staff, are visiting McDonald's after school every day. We're walking around outside the shops every day to kind of see who's who, who's doing what, who's with who. We know that one's in a bit of trouble, so maybe we should see who's hanging around with him, that kind of thing. And he's on top of that the whole time. The incident that happened in Woolwich earlier on in the week, was it earlier in the week? Yeah, earlier in the week. He had the CCTV footage of that showing with us, going through it, going like, do we recognise any of our kids already? Literally yesterday and today. So they are doing as much as they can. I think the problem is that everybody is stretched by too much.
Can I say,
So please, I think you wanted to ask a question.
No, not a question. I wanted to make a contribution initially, or it seems we've gone a bit past that, but I believe it's still a bit relevant. For me, I like to look at it. I like to look at the root cause, not thinking about how the police comes in. We need to look at it like before it gets to that stage, what had happened. And I think it starts with the family and the community
before we start talking about police presence and the authority. The community, we definitely need to do a bit more. And the same with the family too. We need to do a bit more. What do these kids, what do they know? Who do they respect? Do they have respect for, within the family that will transcend to the authority? What do they even have someone that they there's this something else came to my mind. There's this like saying in my language role model, yeah, something like that. Like there's this saying in my language like if you've got a man that has no one he fears, don't marry him. Who can you report him to? No, if he has no one, don't marry him. So something like that. Who's their role model? And then one other thing that I believe I'm trying to teach, because I'm a father myself, I'm trying to teach my kids, is that there's a reward in hard work. We should generally stop thinking that things just come cheap, or things will just fall in place somehow, or the provision will come from somewhere. We need to let the young ones know the benefit of hard work, of how they spend their time, of how they improve themselves, that it's going to amount to something for them in the future.
Yes.
They need to be able to see it from when they are kids. What do they do in the house? Do they have responsibilities? It worries me when I see kids who are just every spare time they're on the phone, on a tablet or something, playing games. It worries me because they're not being I believe they're not being trained to know that you need to do little bits to develop. They could grow and become computer genius. I'm not denying that, but little bits of work to develop yourself and develop a future for yourself. I believe it has a lot to do with the family and the community in helping these kids.
Hi there, I'm just making a contribution in terms of from the library side of things. So for the past year, say academic year, we've got activities for young people, right from babies, from mothers and babies, to toddlers, to children in primary school. We have a volunteering program, we have coding club, we have UX boot camps. So there is a lot of things for children to tap into and use the facilities here in a very kind of constructive way. But we do need more people from the community to come and engage with young people and to know that it's not just... So unfortunately, the main foyer where you came in through Tesco's, that is quite... so what is ever happening on the square sometimes filters in through that part, and because we don't have a staff presence, it gets very rowdy, and then sometimes that filters through to the library. So what I would ask you guys here today is, if there's any community engagement things that you want to do in the library, use the facilities, because this Woolwich Library here is very, very busy and we have a really good presence. So yeah, and you should promote in the library sense, but we've got lots more things going on, and we're more than happy to have, you can have musical workshops, whatever you want, we can try and make that happen. But the library staff can't do it, but we need to engage the community, and we're quite open to that.
Thank you very much. Okay, quickly, Daisy. After me, I'm going to call on one of my speakers, because before we go too much off within the school system. Yeah, oh yes, please. Yes, please. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, your question.
Yeah, I just want to contribute to what my brother here said about role models, and I think if we try to adapt that into the system, we wouldn't even have to get the police involved, because growing up where I come from, we hardly call police to come and sort out things in our house. And what I realized is back home, when you see someone that is your aunt or your neighbor coming along, where you're playing or everything, from a distance, you quickly adjust yourself, because you know that when that auntie or your neighbor sees you, obviously you're going to get in trouble. And the thing is, sometimes it doesn't have to be the role model beating the child or anything. Like my husband is extremely quiet. He can't even kill an ant. But the way I brought my children up, like in their head. Like if they do anything, oh, I'm gonna report you to your dad. Do you know what? They know you can't beat them, but they don't want to disappoint him. They don't want him to feel like, oh my God, you've done something wrong. So in a way, if I say, I'm the outspoken one, I'm the one that is always in charge, but the way I have brought them up, like, okay, they said this in your school, when your dad comes, I'm going to let him know. Do you know that these children will be begging me? No, it won't happen, don't tell him. So sometimes we need to build that thing. Some of us at home, we try to let our children think less of our partner, and we try to show them that we are in control of the home. And a lot of people have it in their head, like, whatever happens, even the children know, we say it in front of them, whatever happens, they tell your dad to leave the house for us. We should try and, within the house, we should try and bring up the children knowing that police is not the solution to the family problem.
Domestic problem.
I think with that, we will be a bit okay.
Yes, thank you very much.
Can I just say something quickly? I would like to use this opportunity to thank the police for the work they are doing. And as I've said, as a politician, they are overloaded. So I don't want us to use game saying the parent, the mom, we are in this situation. How can we go forward? And that is the essence of this topic today. And this is the reason why we're here for this workshop, so to look for solution. Everybody knows. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm going to call Councillor Fumi, please. She's from a charity. We do the same work, but she's my senior in the field. She's been working with young people and families and everything. And her charity is called the Good Samaritan.
Right.
And she's going to talk about children. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you so much. I'll give you a
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is battery low? You have your charger? My charger.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for having me, and it's my pleasure to stand in front of you. This, I think we're in the afternoon already.
Yeah. It's afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes, my name is Fumi Ademiloa. I am a counselor by profession. I'm a trained cognitive behavioral therapist. And I am a founder of a charity organization called the Good Samaritan Foundation. We are based in the heart of Deptford, in Lewisham. And I started working with children in 2009. Why? Because business is based in the heart of Deptford High Street. And I noticed that young boys do hang around chicken and chips shop in school hours. And I wonder why not. But I was a school governor for about 6 years. Bosgrove Primary School, Keybrook Primary School, and Harrogate Primary School. We have a problem right here on our hands. And I want us to move away a bit from the blame culture and then look for a way to find solution to the problem we've all got on the table. So the problem is our kids are unruly, our kids are misbehaving, and our kids are on the streets killing each other. And what saddens me most is you have family friends, kids killing each other, turning against each other because of the so-called postcode mentality or the so-called gang culture. So what I want to advise us is this: we are only finding solutions to this problem. That is why I've spoken to an officer yesterday at the Lewisham Police Station, because our charity is a member of Lewisham Sifanibol team. We're looking for how to resolve this problem rather than shifting the blame on the police, on the government, and the education system. Everybody is doing their own bit of this problem. Parents are doing their own bit, the police are doing their own bit, the education system is also doing its own bit. So now, what I want to suggest is very simple. The only way out is to find a way both organizations can work together. The police, collaborating with the family, collaborating with the school authority to ensure that we tackle this problem. I'm more concerned about the victims, because we have 3 categories of these youths out there. We have the perpetrators, we have the affiliates, and we have the victims. Right. Myself as a counselor working to ensure that people express their fortune feelings, I'm more concerned about the victim because the victims are deadly fearful of the perpetrators. They don't want to go out. I have a 16-year-old girl who doesn't want to go out. She's afraid of going out, and when she's running late in school, like 3 or 3:30, she will call for support because she never knows what is going to happen to her on the street. So I think I want us to work from that perspective, having police work together with parents and the school authority. Now, the education system is putting so much force on our children. We know what the curriculum, national curriculum is saying. They have to pass through certain subjects before they pass their GCSE, and certain grade is expected of them before they could move on to the next level in education. So the frustration that the education system is putting upon them is making our children to be overly aggressive. And parents don't understand where to come in this case. So there is a lot of misconception between the parents' relationship with the children and the relationship with the government. So I want us to come out of it a little bit and find a way. How can the police work with the parents and with the government? Before a child turns to a stage of taking someone else's life, something might have happened. And we want to look at these underlying factors. Number one, our children are very materialistic, and I think you will agree with me on this. They want to buy very expensive situational circumstances. So if it happens, we can't blame the man and we can't blame the woman. So the solution to this problem is very simple. How can the system help the parents to tackle this problem? I know of a mother whose 2 kids are already in prison. So, I mean, that alone has already put the family in a very difficult situation. So how can we help such family? Now, I am begging and imploring people within our community to make sure we have a very powerful to have a powerful community like what Baroness is doing, like what I'm doing. If a community where young people can come and express their feelings, we have to find a solution to this problem. So what we need now is a solution-based arrangement, negotiation. We don't want to blame each other anymore. There is a thing that says if a deed has been done, it has been done. There's nothing you can do about it, and it's irreversible. So what I want us to do now is to find a way. Now I am approaching we parents in the house. Find a way we can set up a powerful community where parents can also come to express their feelings. Yes. And then we will extend it to working together with the government, extending it to the police. Thanks for having me. And if you have any questions,
but before the questions, I forgot to acknowledge my brother, long-time supporter of Sisters and Leaders, Dr. Abi Akenshu. He's one of our strongest supporters, everyone. Thank you very much for coming, my brother. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. So any question for the councillor, please?
Sorry, it's not we're talking about solutions now. And it's not really a question, it's just to pick a few things from what you said. I believe that idle hands are the devil's workshop. Thank you. I believe that if we are talking about we need solutions, so we think about it, what options are we giving the children? Now, some of them don't want to go to school, it's boring to them. and that's the fact. There's nothing you can do. You might as well just push them. As a Nigerian, what I learned from the start was education. That's the best thing my parents gave me, and it's followed me up until this moment. But some of them don't want to. Some of them want different careers. And what options are we giving them as teenagers at home to say, yes, we Nigerians love good things. We like to, and at the same time, are we showing them or are we allowing them that before you can afford this, you can do things? So what options is open to them? So job-wise. Now, I believe that it's not only through education, or I know that you can survive, or that you can make it big time. A good example, we're talking about construction, but it's not just construction. We do training in teaching. Children can actually have level 3 courses where they can teach. They can also go into construction, like we said, apprenticeship. If you go to the apprenticeship website, Institute of Apprenticeship, there is so many apprenticeships, is unreal. Now the government recently poured so much money into about £2 billion into apprenticeships, and people don't know. Companies don't even know what they can get out of it. So this is what, as communities and as parents, is first things first. Can we have opportunities to let our children know that if you don't want to go to school now, you can't just stay at home. You might as well start something, start your life from here. And it's not, from the background we are, if you don't go for education, you're going to do something different. Now in construction, you don't need, you can get MVQs from level 1 to being, level 7 is equivalent of master's degree in construction. And even there, a lot of them have talent that is dormant in them that they don't know they have. They just need people to help bring out this talent. And if they have very good role models, like we're saying, or if they are being, or you point them in the right direction to say, you can go for this apprenticeship. Like what we do, we know a lot of massive companies that we work with that we can actually put people into them under apprenticeship programs. And this is, we're talking about construction, and also, like we said, we've just recently gone into healthcare. And there are all these things, there's so much training that, and materials that are available that people don't know. So, if we work together, I believe we can move forward. So,
yeah, quickly, a family is an institution.
Yes.
And everyone have a way of running their family. There is a culture in the family that I have been using, in my family for instance, I use to raise my children up. And I believe it will be different to your family and it will be different to your family. So, how can we make family understand what we have in place for their children if we don't form a community, if we are not on a single roof? If, for instance, my kids are not in school and they don't like education, for instance, and you want me to bring my children to succeed if we don't first understand each other first. So hence why I always advocate for a one community. Once we are able parents, community leader, I call it what is called multi-systemic therapy, which involves all people within the community, the mayor, the police, coming together to achieve these aims. We are looking for solutions, but parents will not send their children to any institution, even though they know it will benefit them, if you don't make them to understand what they are coming to do. So that's the problem. We have a divided community, and it's the fact. I understand, I resonate with the point the gentleman made. We have a divided community. Parents are not understanding one another. We have division, we have all of those things. So if we are able to form a community first, and that is what I'm agitating for, let us have a one community.
We need to repair the community.
Go back to basics. Then we will have solutions.
Can I have an insight in this? I'm sorry, that lady has been putting her hat on. Are you trying to say something?
Yeah, it was just a comment really. I'm not a speaker, I'm just but a lot of the things that everybody says, it makes sense. But it's kind of the obvious, but you have to kind of blame people, and there's nothing wrong with blame. And when you let the blame is there, then you can rectify what's wrong. So blame isn't something that's bad anyway, but the community thing definitely. My parents are from the Caribbean, And my brother's upbringing was more harder, stricter, but not necessarily because, and they still inflicted it on us, but not just them alone. At that time, it was a community. It was the Queen's coronation. It was a street party. My neighbour, who is white, would look out for me. My neighbours who are not of my race would be there for me. So it is that same cultural thing. But you kind of do have to blame the parents, because we've come to this stage now where we want to be buddies with our kids. We just, we want to go out with them and joke and you on Instagram. No. If they don't want to go to school, send them to school. That's not something that you should be bartering with. You can't barter with how they grow up. And it's children's parents, there's children out there that are going around harming other people's children. And probably them parents don't even know. They probably think their child is so lovely and everything else, but the whole family values have broken down. We don't sit around and eat as a family. It's quicker, and now the mums, you have to look at single parents and again our men. I'm not saying it's them, because there are good men out there, but they need to do more. They need to have these role models so that when your child wakes up, go, no, I want to be like uncle, not like David Beckham, not like someone who don't favour them. They would, you know what I'm saying? So I'm really happy to see that this is going on, because loads of people talk about it but don't actually do it. So I think that you're all saying the right things. It's like one's on the M1, one's on the A, but you're still going the same way. So maybe just not how you get there, just we need to start doing.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, okay, yeah.
The topic is fantastic, safeguarding Black African boys within the British education system. Last year there was a finding in the school that 3% of the girls in high school are black girls, but 87% of girls who were taken out of school by the police were black kids, and they are just 3%. So that is significant. Boris Johnson, when he was mayor of London, he tried as much as possible to fast solution to the same problem we're talking about today. Now, I think the fundamental solution is very simple. Kids has to be raised by both parents. The Children Act 1989 gives parental responsibility to both parents if they are married, except if they are not married. That's when the mother has parental responsibility. So when they are married, when there is a breakup in family union, both parents must raise their kids. The moment a mother alone raises a child, that child is likely to get into problem, particularly in this country. It's a statement of fact.
No. A lot of parents are not going to.
The solution is very simple. Both parents must raise the kids. Both parents must raise the kids, whether they are together or they are not. If they don't raise the kids, I say a woman cannot. It's a research finding in this country. A woman cannot raise a child. So this is one of the solutions. This is one of the solutions. Yes. So you ask yourself, why is it that 3% of students in high school are black girls, but 87% of girls who were taken out of school by police, that means the head teacher called the police, were black girls? It is as a result of the family breakdown.
No.
This is fundamental.
Okay. So thank you very much.
We will not accept it. The number one fundamental solution is that there must be joint custody to raise children. Both men and women must raise kids. Otherwise, this problem will continue, and it's particular within the. I'm Yoruba. I don't even identify myself as Nigerian. It is very, very particular with black kids. It doesn't happen in India. It doesn't happen with the Chinese.
That's not true.
And the problem now, particularly in England and London, is within the Yoruba family. Because 8 out of 9 of the 52 they were murdered in the first quarter of this year, 2018. Where are Yoruba children? And it has always been because it's record that people have taken.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think you wanted to have again very, very shortly because we need to move on to the next. Okay.
We've got to make a move.
Thank you very much for coming. I truly appreciate it. Please give them a round of applause.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you very much.
We all work together. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other question?
Thank you. I will be in touch.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Were you going to ask a question? Okay, yes, a question, please.
Do you have any question, or should I just?
Is it questions? Questions? Questions, okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Please hold this. Thank you.
He's raised up his hand and also wants to talk as well.
Yes, please. Thank you very much. Because we're running out of, because we've passed running out of now, so people have been passed for 3 hours already like me. I'm just going to quickly move this along, and that's because we didn't arrive on time. We've only got till 1:30 to finish. So, we've been talking about various issues, really, and we still have not really hit, the topic. My sister started to talk about her work with the community and with the police, and thank you very much, Ali, for coming. Thank you so much. I didn't get a chance to speak. Thank you very much. Yeah, but what I also want to focus on, and believe it or not, I invited more people, and especially people from the council. I invited about 10 schools, only 1 turned up. I invited the safeguarding heads from the council, they haven't turned up. And this is part of the problems we face now, because we're trying to talk about things involving the community. The police, they only came, just to see what, because they said they were going to come. I didn't expect them to wait this long. But they are putting in the effort. The lady that came, she's from Woolwich Poly. Yes. She came, she did say she was going to leave early, but she's been here, since she started. Yeah. So this is what we need. But when people that we invite don't turn up, then we are still talking amongst ourselves. Because apart from that lady that left, we are all still Nigerians. And if I look at it like this, you are not Nigerian. And we mostly not Yoruba. So what are we doing? We're still talking amongst ourselves. And when we're talking about forming a community, and we have community events, I remember I spoke in my church the other day, and I said, when we have events, people don't turn up. Look what has happened. I expected we prepared for 50 people. Those of us that turned up is because we're interested in what's going on. We are committed to it. We're committed to seeing solution. And that gentleman that came, just saw the banner and came in. And if I had given him the chance, they'd have taken over. But what we also need to be very, very aware of, I wish the teachers were here, because it was actually the teachers I really needed to speak to. Is 2 things. Our generation and our kids' generation, years apart. The generational gap. Even for parents that were born here, whether you went back to Nigeria, parents came, they studied, as soon as they finished, they didn't even wait for the Windrush papers, they rushed back to Nigeria, took their 10-year-old, 12-year-old children with them, and even some of them have not come back, but the kids have all come back, and now we are having kids. But children born here in the 60s and the early 70s that went back to Nigeria, what kind of training did they get? Pure African training. Okay, somebody like me, yes, I was 11, I was 10 when I left here, but I went to school, I still did 1 year primary school, went to secondary school, everything, national science, even worked before coming back here, and all I know is how to be African, even though I'm British. All I know is how to bring up, is to be African, and when I start to bring up my kids, I bring up African kids. Yes. Then talk less of people that came to the UK for the first time in their 20s.